Hi everyone, you are joining with Random Data Projects. This is the fourth episode of SQL for Data Analytics video series. In today's video, we are going to talk about what are aggregation functions, sum, count, average, minimum, maximum aggregation functions, then how to combine aggregation functions with workflows, and having close to filter summarize tables. Let's move on to today's topic. So this is my Medium story. You can find me at Medium as well. So what are aggregation functions? Let's say we have a table with customer data. In that customer data, you can see we have invoice ID, customer ID, invoice date, then the total value of each invoice. Let's say you want to figure out total invoice value per each customer. So in this table, there are multiple invoices from the same customer. So you want to find the total of that customer's invoice value. Or let's say you want to figure out how many invoices made by each customer. For all these operations, these summarizations, you can use aggregation functions. Uh, so where can we use these aggregation functions? We can use them on all the rows in a table for a given column or multiple columns, a subset of rows in a table selected using a where clause. We can apply where clause and get a subset of rows in a table, then apply the aggregation functions, um, or groups of selected data organized using group by clause. So we will go through each and every scenario. So this is the basic syntax of the aggregation functions. So we start with the select clause. Select, then we have to mention the non-aggregating column or the group by column. We group results by this column. Then the function, uh, then which column you need to aggregate, from which table, where clause if you need to filter a table, and select a subset of rows. This is not mandatory. Then the group by. So let's see in detail what are these functions. So sum function will return sum of the columns. Count function will return a number of rows in a column. We can use district function with count function that will return unique number of rows in that column. Average will return average value of that column. Min and max will return minimum and maximum value in that column. Uh, Another thing you need to remember, sum and average can only be applied to numerical columns. Count can be applied to any type of column. Min and max can apply to either numerical columns or the date columns. Our first aggregation function is sum. So find the sum of all invoices total from the invoice table. So let's try to do that. So we are using dbeaver, and we will continue with the Chinook dataset. If you want to use dbeaver and continue with dataset, please visit my first video. Um, so let's try this. So we need to select total of the total of the invoices from the invoice table. Before that, we will observe what we have in invoices table. We write this simple select query. In the table, we can see there are customers invoice IDs, customer IDs, then the total of each invoice. So let's write a query to get the total of the total column, sum total from invoices, To run this, press this play button. So we will get the sum of the total column. This is how the simple sum function works. Let's see our next example. Find how much each customer has spent. So what we are supposed to do is to figure out total or the sum of total column per each customer. So in that case, as I explained earlier, we can use the non-aggregating column customer ID. Since we have used custom ID here, we have to mention that in the group by clause as well. Remember, always group by clause is followed by the from or where clause. Then let's run it and see what will happen. Okay, now you get each customer's customer ID and the sum of total for each customer. So that's how we use aggregator functions. Sum aggregator function. Let's move on to our next example. So next, count the number of rows in invoice table. So in this case, we are going to count all the rows in invoice table. So select all from invoices table. So this will return all the rows from the invoice table, but here we need to count all the rows. So we use count function. So there are 412 rows in the invoices table. Let's see our next example. So count number of invoice IDs for each customer in invoice table. So what we have to do is count number of invoices per customer ID. So we will again use aggregating and aggregating columns. Select customer ID. Count invoice ID. This table. So this return, then add group by. So what is happening here? So we get the count of invoice IDs or the invoice ID rows per each customer, and we group by the result using customer IDs. So let's run it. So there are 7 invoices per each customer in this table. Other than for this last customer, there are 7 invoices per each customer. Let's go to our next example. Okay, you can use alias to change the aggregate column name in the results. So what does it mean? If you look at the results, you can see this count column name is count within brackets invoice ID. So this is not a nice name. We can use alias to change this name. We can use as let's say invoice count. Run this. So this name changed to invoice count. Okay. Count the number of unique customers per country in invoice table. So you can remember what we had in table. Let's see it again. Table. So we have custom ID. So billing country. Now we need to count a unique number of customers. So that means count the unique number of customer IDs from each country. So here what we can do is, so we can use billing country as a non-aggregating column, then count customer ID. Let's see what will happen here. Yeah. Need to use group by in order to group the results. Billing country. Now here it gives all the like number of rows per each country in the custom ID column. This is not the unique number of customers. In order to find the unique number of customers, we can use distinct. Okay, let's run it. So what will happen is, if you count the number of distinct customer IDs per billing country. Okay, now we get a different results. If we want to compare both results, we can do this. We can use the same query to add count as well. I will format this. Control Shift F will format this automatically. Let's run this. Okay, now we see we have one unique customer from Argentina, but that customer has we can guess like 7 rows for that customer. Okay, now let's go to the next example. Okay, then the average. Calculate the average billing value per customer from invoice table. Here again we have to calculate the average per customer. Select from invoices table, so that will help with me the auto completion for customer ID, AVG for average, in what column. So we need from the total column, then we have to group by this, group by customer ID. Let's run this. You can execute it from here, or otherwise you can press Control Enter. Now you get the total average per each customer. So these are the basic things that you will perform as a data analyst or data scientist at your organization to describe your data, figure out what's going on with your business. Let's go to the next example. Yeah, you can use multiple non-aggregated columns with multiple aggregation functions, but you should group by the results with all the non-aggregating columns in the select clause. Cool. This is another example. Select unique customer count and average billing value per country, per city. Select, copy this question, otherwise I forget it. To make it a comment, I will just double dash. So select from this table, select the unique customer count and billing value per country and customer, per city, so per city. So billing value, so billing country, billing city, then count of unique customers, so distinct custom IDs, like this, clarity. Then the average of dot. Okay, we can use alias here, unique customers. Okay, let's execute this. That's it. But sorry. So here the mistake is it should be distinct. Use distinct. Then we have to group by this billing country and billing city. Let's run this. When you look at the results, you can see, so we have the billing country, then the billing city, then unique customers per each country, and under each country each city, billing average billing value per that city. Yes, so if we go to Brazil, under Brazil there are 4 cities. For each city, these are the new customer count, and this is the average billing value for the city. Okay, let's move on to our next example. Maximum and minimum. Select the maximum and minimum total value for each country in the invoice table. So that's very simple. Well, select the table for each city or country. For billing country, select the max billing, so max total, min n. Since this is aggregation function, we have an aggregating column, so we have to use group by. Let's execute this. So this is the minimum and maximum billing value per each country. Okay, that's very simple. Next, we move on to how to apply conditions with aggregation functions. So let's try something. Okay, now here we have to select some of the billing value of each customer from USA. So let's try that out. So we can select this table, can select billing country, customer ID, sum total for each customer. So we have to group by these columns as well. Group I use by here. Okay, now if we execute this, we get the total for each customer from each country, but we need customers only from USA, so we can use where clause. In our second episode, we covered how to use where clauses to filter data. So here we will use where billing country equals to USA. Okay, in this result we can see we get results only from USA customers. Nice. Let's move on to our next example. Tracks table contain the size or the bytes of a track and the duration of a track. Find the average duration of a track in a genre where size is greater than or equal to 33,500,000. Let's first observe what we have in tracks table. So always write a simple select query. First observe the table before you run the query. So in tracks table you have each track's name, album ID, genre, composer, milliseconds, and bytes. So bytes is the column we are interested in. So we need to find the average duration for track by genre ID, then the average milliseconds. So duration in milliseconds. So we get the milliseconds. Then we have to group by genre ID. We get the average duration for all these genres. Now we need average duration of songs where their size or number of bytes greater than or equal to 33,500,000. Okay, now we run this, what we get. So in these genres there are songs greater than this much of bytes, and this is the average of those tracks in each genre ID. Okay, let's say you want to filter data after aggregating the data. You can use having clause. So as an example, first we can use this query to get the sum of each customer's invoice values. So we will get this result. Some customers have less than 40 their total, some have greater than 40. Let's say you need to filter out customers with more than 40 as their billing value. Then you can use where clause, because you have to filter that rows out of this aggregated column. So how can we do that? So this is the basic syntax of the having condition. Here you select aggregating columns, then the aggregating function from which table, where clause, then group. After that you have to apply having condition. Here you apply whatever condition you need to filter data out of the aggregated column, out of the aggregated table that you have selected. Here you have to apply a condition to filter rows from the aggregate table. If you want to order your results, you can use order by clause. It's not mandatory. So let's see how to filter customers who have billing value more than 40. Select from table. So we will aggregate sum total, group by, so this will return the total for each customer. Then we can apply having clause to filter out any results out of these resulting table, having sum total greater than 40. Let's execute this. Now we get the customers only who have done more than 40. Then we get the now we get the customers where their total sum is greater than 40. So that's how we use having clause. We will conclude today's lesson. If you learned something new or you enjoyed the tutorial today, please don't forget to hit like button and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for further updates. In the next video, we will discuss how to join tables using SQL joins. Until then, take care. Thank you.